and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. The Israel and Iran conflict is deepening, it's intensifying as the time is passing by. Today is the fourth day of the conflict, and according to the Wall Street Journal, I'm quoting Wall Street Journal right now, that Israel's military has said that it killed 4 senior Iranian intelligence officials in a single strike on the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps headquarters, following days of attacks focused on Tehran's nuclear program, senior leadership, and infrastructure. Iranian strikes overnight killed several people, while several Tel Aviv buildings not far from the US consulate have been destroyed. Now, some of the pictures, if I can show you some still pictures, these are the pictures of devastation and destruction. And you can imagine the wailing and crying of the people on both sides, whether it is Iran or Israel. Now, meanwhile, President Trump has nixed Israel's plan to kill Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, according to a US official, calling Iran's leadership weak. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu suggested in a Fox News interview on Sunday that the conflict could result in a regime change. So we're going to ask certain questions, and I'm going to show you what exactly Donald Trump has said. I'm just going to read out that tweet for you. Donald Trump says that Iran and Israel should make a deal, and will make a deal just like I got India and Pakistan to make in that case by using trade with the United States to bring reason, cohesion, and sanity into the talks, with two excellent leaders who were able to quickly make a decision and stop. Also, during my first term, Serbia and Kosovo were going at it hot and heavy, as they have for many decades. And this long time conflict was ready to break out into war. I stopped it. Biden has hurt the longer term prospects with some very stupid decisions, but I will fix it again. Another case is Egypt and Ethiopia and their fight over a massive dam that is having an effect on the magnificent Nile River. There is peace, at least for now, because of my intervention, and it will stay that way. Likewise, we will have peace soon between Israel and Iran. Many calls and meetings now taking place. I do a lot and never get credit for anything, but that's okay. The people understand, make the Middle East great again. So this was the social media post put out by Donald Trump. And as we speak, in Canada's Alberta, the G7 summit will be starting tomorrow, where Prime Minister Modi will also be present. Donald Trump will also be present. And China also has thrown the hat in the ring. They have urged both the nations, Tel Aviv and Tehran, to cool down the tensions. But which way is this war headed to? That is number one. Can Trump really broker the peace deal, or will it be China which will broker the peace deal, or it will be both? That also is a possibility. But beyond that, what is India's diplomatic stand going to be on this Iran and Israel war? How will it impact us, and how will it impact the geopolitical prospects of India as well? There are many, many questions, and we'll try and answer all these questions to you with the experts who are joining us live today on HW News. Joining me this evening is Professor Aftab Kamal Pasha, who's an international affairs expert and also a diplomat and a West Asia expert. Thank you, sir, so much for joining. And I'm also hoping to be joined by Pushparaj Deshpande, who's the author of the book called Bharat Jodo Yatra, and he also works closely with the India Alliance. We'll add him as he joins us, but I'll begin with Professor Pasha. Professor Pasha, news coming in now lately that there are multiple explosions heard in both the cities. These are clear signs of the war intensifying, sir. And do you think that Donald Trump really can broker a peace deal at this moment?
Well, this is today is the fourth day of this war after Israel started this unprovoked war in the name of safeguarding its security by bombing Iran's nuclear facilities. But in the first day and the second day, the world largely witnessed the destruction, whatever Israel claimed about Natanz and Isfahan and the Tehran nuclear reactor. But now it has gone beyond attacking these nuclear facilities. It has gone to military production facilities and civilian infrastructure, refineries, oil depot, and key installations. And apart from killing generals, military generals, and nuclear scientists and top officials associated with the military industrial complex of Iran. Now, the latest is the Israeli defense minister has warned the residents of Tehran that they should quit Tehran, and otherwise there will be bombing of Tehran also. So the intentions of Israel are very clear. It is not so much to contain Iran's nuclear ambitions, but to bring about regime change. So far, the regime has not faced any difficulty because of the long history of Iranian nationalism.
No, but
If
Professor,
we
what forces who are wanting a regime change in Iran? Can you specify it a little for the viewers?
Yes. See, the regime change agenda is basically desired by the American deep state. The deep state consists of neocons who believe that America should remain a perpetual superpower, economic power, military power, and its hegemony should continue no matter which state tries to threaten it. Number two, the military industrial complex believes that since they could not achieve their desired goal through Ukraine to destroy militarily Russia and weaken and split it like they did through Afghanistan, the Soviet Union, so they are involved. Then the Wall Street also is deeply involved along with the Jewish lobby, which has supported Donald Trump by giving millions of dollars in his election campaign. So these three, four institutions in America, cryptocurrency also is involved in one way or the other. So the deep state has lost in Ukraine. They are unable to weaken or militarily defeat Russia. So their focus now is through Israel to bring about regime change in Iran. And they have two objectives. One is to overthrow the mullah regime, which they have been trying along with Israel since 79. Whether it is during Carter or the Iran-Iraq war or through UN sanctions on the nuclear program. There's a long history of American destabilizing
Also,
attempts
Professor
against.
Pasha,
No,
also,
you didn't allow me to complete the point. So the second one from Iran, if they capture like Syria, they want to stop immediately the supply of oil and gas to China. So the other objective is to use Iran, the Central Asia, and through the underbelly of Russia to weaken Russia, also along with Ukraine. So their twin objective now is not only to separate Russia and China, but also target China, which gets bulk of its oil from Iran. They say illegally in violation of sanctions, and the border from Iran to China is not very far. It's about 200 miles, and the flying distance would be very short. So the nuclear weapons are stationed by the Chinese on these borders. So that is their target to destroy in one way or the other and start provoking China into a protracted battle from Pakistan, if possible, under Asim Munir, for which he has been given red carpet welcome on the Liberation Day of Army Parade Day. And if they capture Iran, they want to use this territory also. G.
yeah, I was wanting to ask you that why is Ayatollah Khomeini an eyesore for Israel? Many viewers are wanting to know, so I just thought of asking you for the
Yeah,
perspective
I'll
of you.
give you a short reply because he
Yes.
is the supreme leader and he is the supreme decision maker, whether it is appointments in military or military production, war, peace. He's all in all. Although they have a president, they have a parliament, they have guardian council, and so many layers of decision making process. But ultimately, for every decision, it is the supreme leader who has to okay, and they think that it is his decision to start the nuclear program, and it is his decision to attack Iran, and the promised severe punishment, which is taking place through Iranian missile attack, which are hypersonic, which are cruise and ballistic missile, which are evading American radars, Patriots, Iron Dome, David Sling, and the innumerable ships, both in the Mediterranean, in the Persian Gulf, and the Indian Ocean. You see, the American, British, French wherewithal, all their assets are helping Israel in one way or the other to prevent the Iranian missiles, and also Jordan and Saudi Arabia also are cooperating in one way or the other. So, despite all of these massive military assets, you can see how Iran has made breakthrough, and it has shaken the invincibility of Israel, and now massive destruction, not just in Tel Aviv or in Haifa, but also in Negev, very near to the Dimona nuclear plant, and also in the northern part of Galilee. There has been extensive circulation of videos, the damage is Iranian missiles have caused. More so, there is panic. Of course, when the Houthis and Hezbollah attacked, when the Hamas attacked, there was panic, and people were going in bunkers, shelter homes, so on and so forth. But now, to stay beyond 4 days, it is becoming unbearable for the Israeli public, because there are not many shelters. Forget about the Palestinians who constitute 20%. There is hardly any shelter for them, or the West Bank population, which is under Israeli military control. So the Israeli Jews in particular, they are terrified, including the Jewish settlers in West Bank, that they have to live their life in a prolonged way in bunkers and in this fear. And the Mr. Security, which Netanyahu claimed that he will provide maximum security and destroy Iran's nuclear facilities and its capability, has utterly failed in this attempt. And now he wants to drag America into this unwanted war. Donald Trump is now become captive of this deep state, and he is mulling whether to continue supporting Israel in this way and get involved, or face the consequences of expanded Iranian retaliation to all the bases which are within the range of the Iranian missiles. And now China also is openly backing Iran with satellite information and possibly military hardware also, because they have fairly good material which can be useful to the Iranians. And the Russians, Putin has simply ignored the phone call of Netanyahu, who pleaded that you use your influence with Khamenei to stop the attacks on Israel. He said, "You have started it. We are not going to interfere." So they have washed their hands, but still, I think Putin is using his influence over Donald Trump. How far he will succeed in de-escalating this situation, it remains to be seen. But there is panic in Western capitals, not to speak of frantic attempts by Britain and France and Germany and others to activate their whatever left relationship with Tehran to talk sanity. And in this, India is nowhere to be seen in this scene, because we are put all the eggs in Netanyahu's basket, and
Absolutely. In
our
fact,
our
this
workers, our trade, our energy security is on risk.
right. So indeed, the panic is quite palpable, and we don't know what's going to happen in the G7 summit. Is there a resolution which is going to be passed? But coming to you, Pushparaj, on the diplomatic stand which should be taking or is not taking, is the stand taken by India fair and just? Uh, is it in line with what the previous regimes have done in conflict times like these? What would you really say, the kind of stand which India has taken?
Neeluji, a very good evening to you, our Professor Pasha, and of course our viewers. Firstly, I want to take some time to talk about what Professor Pasha just said. It's very noteworthy. West Asia is clearly becoming again a site for proxy war tensions between US, China, and Russia, just like the recent Indo-Pak conflict or the Ukraine/NATO-Russia conflict. Russia and China have yet not taken the bait, but the larger point is that before the world restabilizes into a new world order, there will be numerous such disruptions, not just geopolitical, which we are seeing, but also economic, characterized by trade blocks, tariffs, state-backed digital currencies, and ideological, most notably the onslaught of a global far-right movement. But that's a larger structural point. Secondly, I want to, before I come to your question, I want to take just a couple of minutes to objectively analyze the facts. Iran was at the negotiating table, which President Trump himself had initiated to discuss peace. They were to have a meeting over the weekend, but Israel chose to initiate attacks before that meeting. Now, I'll come to what Germany and the other Western countries did in a bit, but Iran does not have nuclear weapon. Israel does. Iran is a signatory to the NPT since 1970. Israel still hasn't signed the NPT. Iran is allowing IAEA inspectors into its country. Israel does not. Israel started the attacks, yet somehow Israel is the victim. How? Honestly, the West's hypocrisy is appalling, especially because after Israel attacked Iran and before Iran ever responded, Germany sent out a public statement condemning Iran. I mean, this is really appalling, especially given the fact that the Western nations have spent the better part of the last 3 years lecturing Russia about international law when it comes to Ukraine. But when Israel launched a war against Iran, assassinated its scientists, and bombed civilian infrastructure, the West condemned Iran. Mind you, while the West is lecturing the world on Israel's 179 plus death toll, which I personally also mourn, as would any conscientious human being, they are refusing to condemn the death of 59 Palestinians Israel killed yesterday in Gaza, sorry, or the thousands who have died in the last year. Not to mention that journalists are still not allowed to cover Gaza, but they are somehow allowed into Israel to cover the destruction by Iran's attacks. I mean, see, is one death less important than the other? Is one destruction less important than the other? This double standard is, frankly speaking, disgusting. See, I genuinely feel we are back to 2003. Then US, UK, and other nations had said that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Eventually, no weapon was found in Iraq. The Baath Party was dismantled. A nation was destabilized, and it led to the creation of Al Qaeda and ISIS in Iraq. Today, the same thing is being attempted. Now, with Iran, they are saying that Iran has weapons of mass destruction. They are trying to effect a regime change. Same propaganda, same warmongers. And this is precisely why I think that President Trump will not be able to negotiate a peace plan because A, he admittedly knew about Israel's attack plans. So frankly, Israel doesn't trust him. Plus, Israel has three avowedly stated goals. One, to end Iran's nuclear program. Two, to cripple Iran's defenses. And three, effect a regime change. None of these objectives are anywhere near completion. Now, because these objectives are not being met, and because Prime Minister Netanyahu's government's survival is contingent on war, this war will continue. And I doubt that what is happening today is weakening Iran or the Iranian people's resolve. All they have done is to strengthen the conservatives in the parliament, Iran's parliament, and weaken the moderate President Massoud. Already, the parliament is saying that let's withdraw Iran from the NPT. This is dangerous. Now, I cannot help recall the parallels between South Africa's apartheid regime and Israel. In its final days, the apartheid regime tried to effect, look at the fun, ironically, they tried to effect a regime change in Angola, installed a puppet regime in Namibia, attacked Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Namibia just to prop up its own government survival. Isn't this what Prime Minister Netanyahu's Likud party is doing today? It didn't work then, and I really don't think it's going to work today because I genuinely feel there are progressive Jews and Israelis who will reject hawkish and regressive views. That is one international element. Domestically, we need to look at how the war impacts us. On one hand, nearly 1,600 plus Indians are stuck in Iran. Thousands more are in Israel. Many of them are in areas where there is a high risk of current military engagement. Yet the Modi government is not initiating any rescue operation. Instead, it is issuing travel advisories and telling Indians in the war zone to avoid moving around. I mean, isn't this an abdication to its responsibilities to our citizens? And even more problematic, and this is the last point I'll make, Niluji, in blindly extending support for Israel's occupation over Gaza and its aggression, we are weakening, the Modi government is weakening our case on Pakistan occupied Kashmir, which Pakistan also illegally occupies. Additionally, they are ceding the argument that nations can have spheres of influence. If this argument is ceded, what is stopping China from constantly attacking India's borders or to establish the string of pearls around India? Frankly, our non-alignment has meant that we do not believe in the application of primordial rules of statecraft to redraw national boundaries or external interference to effect regime change, or even the use of violence in foreign policy. If we don't vehemently resist what the Prime Minister Modi and the Netanyahu and others are doing, we cannot expect the world to support us against China's aggression in Ladakh and Arunachal, or Pakistan's aggression in Kashmir, or
Okay, so
policy has totally isolated and
yes,
alienated
I
India.
lost your audio in between. I lost your audio in between, Pushparaj, but you're saying that India has weakened its stand. India has itself weakened itself immensely by taking a stand like that.
I'm saying the Modi government has weakened India's stand. India is actually
Yeah,
uniquely poised to play a very balancing role between all of these warring factions. But we cannot because of this hawkish, myopic foreign policy pursued by the Modi government.
right. Okay, so I'll ask Professor Pasha also to elaborate a little on what Pushparaj has just said. That is it a myopic and a very hawkish stand which Modi government has taken, and because of which diplomatically India looks like a weak nation today, where it should be taking a very strong stand. What do you really have to say, Professor Pasha, to this?
You see, my own reading into this very important issue is that, since this Modi government was expecting Biden to win the election, and then when it became known that he has been replaced with Kamala Harris as the candidate, they thought that Kamala Harris will win. That's one crucial reason why Modi did not meet Trump in Florida and alienated him. And Trump has not still now forgiven Modi on this issue. Then, when he actually won, and he declared a couple of things. One is the trade tariff war. He said India is charging too much tariff, and he repeatedly nailed India several times. In fact, in every tariff statement, he brought India to the picture and he gave the example. Number two, he berated BRICS. He said we will apply 100% tariffs on BRIC, and he told Modi when he was there, BRICS is dead. And number two, all his ministers who came here, including India Today conclave, Commerce Secretary, Trade Representative, so on and so forth, they said, you should stop trading with China. You should stop buying arms from Russia. You should stop buying oil from Russia. And you must use you have much influence in global south. We saw it, Biden saw it, and America saw it in Modi's leadership. So many other countries were invited. So you use your global influence over global south so that they don't trade with China or Russia, and you have to deliver them. So all of these were very high demands, and there was panic in the government here. How to deal with this multi-pronged attack from Donald Trump. So Donald Trump bracketed India with China and Mexico and China, Canada and the EU on the tariff war. So the first knee-jerk reaction of this government was to say, we want to discuss, we want to discuss. And you know what Trump said? Countries are bending over backwards. They want to lick my ass, and very nasty words he used for those who want to negotiate. It was actually directed at India. I didn't want to use that word, but viewers should know how America viewed these trade negotiations of India and other countries. Japan, very close ally of the United States, they were shocked at the demands of the American government. They said, no, nothing doing. We cannot lower the tariffs. Our industries will go bankrupt.
But if you
So
talk
this
about
government,
and Professor
just
Pasha,
one point.
right?
So this government is in a panic mood, and like all other governments, they think that the gateway to White House and heaven, American heaven, is through Israel. So they have to pamper the Israeli government, Jewish lobby, so that we are in good books along with Adani and Ambani. So they are using the Jewish lobby and Israel. And Netanyahu has promised to deliver everything, heaven, to this government. And that is how they have put all the eggs in basket. And in spite of all the damage our national interest has suffered, we continue to support Netanyahu and his genocide in Gaza, and now the war in Iran.
Right.
So
All
in
right.
that way, it is doing incalculable harm, and the deep state is bent on overthrowing the mullahs regime, like they did in Syria. They want to bring the war closer to our borders, and we don't seem to react in the way we should have, because
Now, I had another, in fact, question on the vulnerability of America, but Pushpraj wants to make a point, so I'll come to him and then I'll come to you, Professor Pasha. Yes, Pushpraj, go ahead, please.
No,
Yeah.
I just wanted to add on to what Professor Pasha is saying. He said two very important things that any Indian should take note of. Firstly, something Prime Minister Modi doesn't understand, that relationships are not between leaders but between nations, and you cannot pursue this personalized diplomacy and hope that that is somehow going to translate into strategic gains for your nation. It doesn't work like that. And secondly, the Modi government is clearly abrogating compromising our national sovereignty when it comes to the US. Is a foreign nation going to dictate who we trade with, or what our economic policies are going to be, or what our agricultural policies are, or our foreign policy? Why isn't the Modi government making a strong case and stridently defending our national interests, whether it's economic, geopolitical, or social? Our IFS, our foreign services, our RAW, our IB is full of talented and dynamic officials who are equipped to take our case forward and defend it. Prime Minister Modi, External Affairs Minister Jay Shankar, and NSA Ajit Doval are handcuffing our officials from promoting our national interests. Is this not seditious?
Right, that's a significant point. But I have another question to you, Professor Pasha, on the vulnerability of America. Yeah, I'm reading somewhere, and there's a link which very clearly says that the Iraqi resistance group has now vowed to target US bases if Washington joins the Israeli war on Iran. Now, how grave or how serious is that threat?
yes, before answering your question about this popular mobilization front, just a footnote to what Deshpande said. You see, this government has compromised our national interest because of its skewed domestic policy. And this majoritarian rule and anti-minority policy, and what they are doing to Ambani, Adani, has led to this crisis. This corruption case is not going away against Adani despite pleading from this government and terms promised. Secondly, the involvement of a raw agent in this Khalistani issue is being used as a leverage. And thirdly, this US congressional report, which indicted BJP for using anti-minority votes to gain seats, and recommendation of imposition of sanctions on the lines of what US has done for Russia and Iran, is a potent weapon which Trump has used to neutralize and silence this government. So it is a very this disastrous domestic decisions. Instead of launching an inquiry on the corruption case against Adani, nothing has been done. He is being protected, and the highest dignitary, Prime Minister, is pleading on his behalf with Trump. So you can imagine how helpless we are, and our Foreign Minister is before the United States, and they're making full advantage of this. Regarding your point about popular mobilization force, the Kataib Hezbollah is a potent force, and there are at least 12 militias, 12, if not more, according to my count, which are completely beholden to Iran. Not today, yesterday, but for the last several years, they have been trained, they have been financed, they have been armed, and they are just a cover for Iran. We have seen that in these popular forces attacking Saudi oil refinery pipelines and sending several drones to other GCC countries. So they have not used in this war, or even in the last 20 months, again, only few missiles were launched, but by and large, their arsenal is intact. Unlike Hezbollah, which suffered grievous losses, or Houthis or Hamas. So if the Americans jump into this fray, and support Israel. What Iran is saying that we will attack your bases may not be fully true, but they will activate these militias in Iraq because the prime minister there, Sudani, has already promised Iran that they will do everything to protect Iran and prevent the Americans using their bases in Iraqi territory to attack Iran. So now this is a signal to these militia groups that if America involves in this war to destroy further
Okay, one thing I
infrastructure
also want to
Iran,
understand,
they
there
will
is a
openly attack American bases in Iraq and in the Gulf countries also.
no, but I just want to ask you one more question before I come for the concluding remarks to Pushparaj. That if at all a peace deal is brokered, is it going to be initiated by America, or it could be both by America and China? Now, since China has also jumped into the fray, so the peace deal could be brokered by both, or we see it largely being done by America at any cost.
No, it will be done by Moscow, by Putin. He has the leverage with Donald
Okay,
Trump. He
so
is
he will walk
talking.
away with the cake.
Sorry,
I said Putin will walk away with the cake then, not
obviously,
Trump or Xi Jinping.
obviously, because Netanyahu contacted no other world leader, not even Donald Trump. He called up Putin because he holds several cards, not only with Donald Trump on Ukraine, but also with Iran. He has signed a strategic agreement, and Khamenei listens to Putin. Even the talks which reluctantly Khamenei agreed with America on the nuclear issue in Oman and Rome, it is because of the influence of Putin. Otherwise, there was no chance Khamenei would have talked, because he has been berating America and saying that they are not reliable. So it is only Putin who can use his good influences, who has influence not only on Iran, but also over Donald Trump, who is on talking terms, and also Netanyahu. Netanyahu is too scared. I don't know how much to believe that he was in the bunkers beneath the Israeli defense minister because he went away from his office. And Iranians targeted that defense ministry building also. Now we are told that he is hiding or holding meetings in one hospital bunker there. I cannot recall the name. So either if he is there beneath, whereas they accuse the Hamas of using hospitals as launching pad beneath the hospitals. Now he is using the same tactic to hide against Iranian missiles if he is there. Otherwise, he is airborne, or he has gone to Cyprus or Greece to save his life. Such deadly attacks have really not only posed a security to his life, but to millions of Israelis who believed in his word that he is going to attack and destroy the nuclear facilities, and Israel is going to be safe, just as they believed that he will destroy Hamas and Hezbollah and Houthis. He has not achieved any of the aims, let alone release the captives who are still held by the
So,
Hamas.
right. So, but you, as what you said, that Putin might be the real hero because it's him on whom the Israeli government is dependent on, Netanyahu especially is dependent on, and with the kind of geopolitical dynamics changing, Pushparaj, what are the big learning lessons for India from this Israel and Iran war?
Niluji, I cannot help but help reflect on our foreign policy and our situation in the 1950s and the 1960s, when in a previous panel I discussed this. We were so economically crippled after 2 centuries of colonial exploitation. $44 trillion, between 44 and 64 trillion dollars were looted from India systematically. At that time, when we were our industrial base was completely destroyed, Prime Minister Nehru pursued a foreign policy that enabled us to punch above our weight. We were able to play a dominant role in Korea. We were able to play a substantive role in Palestine, on the Palestine issue in the UN, as well as on the apartheid regime, as well as the anti-colonial movements, multiple anti-colonial movements. Now, this was at a time when we were weak as a nation. Today, the government claims that we are the fourth largest economy in the world. Whether it's fourth or fifth, I mean, that's a different debate altogether. But the fact of the matter is, if we are genuinely so strong, if we are a rising power, if the West once in 2014 saw us as a democratic counter to China, why is it that today that we are abject bystanders to every conflict that is happening? One problem is because the external affairs minister infamously said that Europe's problems and the world's problems are not our problems, which is, I don't know what foreign policy is this, when you say that your problems are your problem, my problem is my problem. But beyond that, the larger problem is that the Modi government's foreign policy has totally isolated and alienated India. There is no strategic foresight, and they are reacting in a knee-jerk manner to global crises, multiple global crises. Now, this transaction and instrumental foreign policy is the reason why no country stands with India today. Now, the case in point is that all-party delegation that the BJP government was forced to send to 33 nations. Barring 3-4 nations, no one really stood with them, or I mean, no head of state really met them. And I don't think, apart from 1 or 2 nations, anyone has really come out publicly against Pakistan. This is why we are no longer a leader of the global South. I mean, what are we reduced to? Today, we were uniquely positioned because of non-alignment. We were uniquely positioned to basically play an arbitrating role between Ukraine and Russia, between Iran and Israel, and multiple other conflicts. What are we doing today? The Prime Minister is busy gallivanting. He's our Desi Vasco da Gama. He's busy gallivanting a nation doing nothing. What has 2 lakh crores of funds sunk into foreign policy achieved for us after 10 years, 11 years, sorry? This is something that we need to ask the Prime Minister. And I'm sorry, this monsoon session, he must be held accountable. Dr. Jaishankar must answer these hard questions. Where is India standing globally? Why is it that we were one of the rising powers in the world? Today, we are not even considered in any, we are not at the table today. Why?
Absolutely. You were talking about the monsoon session, and yes, Professor Pasha, you were raising your hand. You said
Yes,
something.
you see, what Deshpande is saying is very true. But you see, the G7 have circulated a draft statement in which they have said that Israel has the right to defend its security. And they have also condemned Iran that it cannot have nuclear weapons and it is disrupting the regional stability and energy security of many countries. So whether Modi will agree to this joint communique, there's no doubt in my mind that even before it is presented, he may say, "Chalo, accept kar lo. It is in our interest." So this is the kind of. I will be very surprised if India abstains like it did in the recent UN General Assembly resolution or at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization on Iran. So there is a pattern which is emerging, which is pro-America, pro-Israel, and virtually anti-India. From, if I can use one word from Deshpande's points, we are not defending our own national interest. We have compromised to such an extent that we are helpless, we are spineless, and the world is shocked at our importance at the global level. And they cannot believe that India is the fourth economy, it's a nuclear power, it's the leader of the global south. All this has been a washout under this government and this incompetent foreign minister who is leading India from one disaster to the other, alienating from our neighborhood, from our close allies, from Russia and other countries. And he says in world capitals that what happens to you, it's your business. We are not concerned. How can such a foolish statement be made? Who has a PhD and who has worked in the MEA for so long, how can he make such a foolish statement? The world leaders are aghast at the intemperate language he has been using of late. I think he has lost his balance, if I can use that word. Although I've been part of the MEA, I hesitate to use, but from one trap to the other, we are getting virtually isolated.
Well, Pushparaj was talking about the monsoon session. Let's see how many hard questions are being asked of the government, because this government always runs away from the responsibility, accountability. I don't know how many questions will be raised and how many questions will Jay Shankar or even Prime Minister Modi will answer on this bit. We'll have to edit here. Thank you so much, Professor Pasha. Pushparaj, thank you very much for joining. Thank you.
Please send the link. Please send the link of this program.